Hi there, and welcome to How to Use a Filofax the Australian Way. I'm Kent from Oz, and I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube about using Filofaxes, and I've enjoyed watching them immensely and learnt a lot as well. But I've also thought that it might be a time for a man's point of view in how he has sorted out and set up his own Filofax. So here is my Filofax, or what I call it my diary. But it's actually a day planner, and it's a leather bound one. I spent quite a bit of money on this one because I wanted it to be something I would use for many years, and this is about 5 years old at the moment, and as you can see it's in very good condition, although it's been used quite a lot over the years. It's also a zippered one because I found that in previous day planners that I've had that things did fall out, and I found the zipper works for me. Now I've removed the zipper tag and I've actually placed a larger tag that I can grip very easily, and that means that I don't have to be looking for it, and they tend to slip right into the back, and so this tag is easy to hold and undo like so. So here is the day planner, and I bought this one from Officeworks in Australia, and I'm sure that you can get those Debden ones anywhere in the world. So a very typical day planner. I like the fact that this one has 7 rings because it just seems to hold the paper just a little bit better, and also that it seems to also create the top and bottom of the pages don't seem to tear or curl up as much. That's just me. But let's have a look at all the different pieces that I use. Now, it is a very typical day planner, and in the front here we have just the usual pockets, and I've got lots of different things. This is like a coffee card that I use, and some lottery tickets, and then further down we have the post-it notes and so on, and then just a couple of pockets in here, and here I've got just a more portable organizer wallet for post-it notes, the long thin ones and also the square ones. I tend to use post-it notes quite a bit, and I tend to use just the plain boring white or pale yellow, but I do tend to use a couple of different colors depending on what I've got at hand. It doesn't really matter. I do have paper clips here, which I do have at least 4 at all times. That's because I do need to hold things in together. And then of course another pocket under here, and I put things such as chemist prescriptions and so on, things that I need to have with me during the day if I'm ever out. Alright, well, let's begin. And what I've got here is a separate pen holder which I bought to hold different pens, and I will just talk very quickly about the pens that I use. I tend to write with black because I tend to notice black printing and ink much better than blue, and the ones that I try to get are the ones that have a permanent clip that don't have a cap that falls off. I tend to lose pens very quickly that way because the cap falls off, and if the clip is attached to the pen it just seems to stay where I need it to be. 2 pencils and also a highlighter. Now my preference is blue, and I used to use the very large ones, but I found this in one of the stationery stores here, and the blue tends to pop out at me when I need to see it. I don't use highlighter too much. Now here's one of the things that I find I do use. Now I have a work section and also for my own private work, and anything to do with work I write in red. Now that's just me, but here is where I store my red pen. So in between the rings there's space there, and I've got a fairly good red pen that tends to bleed occasionally if I hold it down, but I really need it to be nice and bright. And of course, if you're working in an office, I tend to store the breath freshener. Now, not that I need it often, but if you are working with people, it's a good place to have it, and I know where it is. One day I just placed it there by accident, and it's stayed there ever since, and hey, don't mess with a good thing. Alright, let's go through some of the other things. The other side of this, of course, is a little zipper, and all I've got in here is some coupons for discount petrol, which I use, and can store other things. I also place checks. That way they're just out of sight, out of mind. Here I've got some labels, because every now and again I do get a bit paranoid that I will lose the diary, and if I've got it properly labelled with my name and phone number here, my mobile, without giving a lot of information away, that would possibly give me a good chance of getting the day planner back. So this is just an ordinary binder card which came with the diary, and I bought these inserts, and there's a 5 sections here, and here are the notes that I take for personal, family, finance, work, and all the goals that I would write out. Now, I won't go through them too much, but again, it's very typical. I just write my notes down here. I will show you a couple of things, because I'm a diagram person and I tend to think and to work things out in diagrams. So that's just an example of what I do. Here's some quotes which I find. If I like something, I'll write it down, and I use post-it notes because sometimes I've either memorized it and I don't need to have it there, or I might give it away to somebody. When I do that, I can easily replace it with something else. So I find the post-it notes are good for things like that. And then again, the other notes are just there, and I tend to use a small post-it note, usually the small square ones, just to add anything that I might want to take away with me or pass it on to maybe my wife or to somebody else. So I've just got in these sections just various things, finances and for my work, and lots of lists. Now here is something that I do with work, and that is I have lots of timetables that I'll need, and I love the fact that the A5 paper in this diary can accommodate an A4 page, and so I've just punched some holes in here and able to fold it down. And then these are timetables that I would use on a daily or weekly basis at work, and I've got them at hand when I need them straight away. So I've got lists and schedules, and in fact, even on this side, I've got the timetables for my children when they're at school, so I know what subject they've got, what time, which room they're in, just in case I might need to contact them. Not checking up on them, of course. And then down here is just some more work goals, and I tick them off if I've met those things. And of course another timetable over here. Now there's more timetables that I use. I've taken a few things out just to take away a bit of the bulk of the Filofax. Now, the end of last year I changed the format slightly, and instead of buying a whole year's worth of the pre-printed inserts, what I did was chose just the blank ones, the ones where you write the name of the month on the side there, and they're fairly well generic. And I found that the 30 sheets, which were only about $5 or $6 from Officeworks, was just what I needed, and I could accommodate that for the last couple of months of the last year until I got the printed insert for the whole year for this year. So as you can see here, it's a very typical diary setup where I've got my day schedule here, and I do write the times because just in case, you know, an appointment is at 8:15 or 8:45 or something like that, I know exactly the time, and of course what I need to do, and then notes on the side here, and they usually just are things like things to remember, emailing, ringing people, and so on. Occasionally I might have some sort of sticker reminder. I don't use stickers at all. I don't find I need them, and I pay attention to them. But occasionally if I do need to highlight something, I do have these type of small arrow post-it notes which I might write something on, and then I can stick it on and point, and then that usually grabs my attention. I tend to not want to clutter the diary too much, and there's definitely no drawings or scribbles on it. What I do like is the fact that at a glance I can basically see my whole week very easily. So we've got just a few other pages like that, and then at the end we see I've got a little tab there that introduces this year, and of course then this is the inserts that you get that are pre-printed, and that'll be 1 week in 2 pages, and I find that format the best. Now what I do want to show you is that I have very few of the plastic ruler bookmarks, and I usually have just one, and that way I can, as soon as I open my diary, I feel for that and pull it open, and then my day that I'm up to is already there for me. Now this week, it's quite a busy week, and you can see that I've got my paper clip there when I had a couple of tickets that I gave to my wife earlier today. Again, my schedule, and of course I've highlighted that because it was quite important. Lots of reminders, people to ring, and you can see the ones in red are for work, and then the ones in black are personal or general items. I've got lots of post-it notes here. Now the other thing I do is, and if you haven't quite worked it out, that my occupation is as an educator, is that I do have a weekly work timetable that I generate myself, and then what I've done is I just have placed that in the middle of my week so I can refer to that, and I have this open on my desk during the day, so it's quite handy. And when I do need to do personal or other work items on the printed pages, they're there as well. On the back of this, which is my weekly schedule, I've also got notes areas, and I printed this up myself. I did it on a Word document, and I take notes at meetings and I place them there, and so on. Now another little thing that I find very handy is that I use the ruler to hold on to some of these post-it notes. So I've taken the paper back off most of them, and I don't need the whole of the stack, but I might take about 10 to 12 pieces of post-it note, and then I take the sticky part and I stick them on, and I have usually the 3 sizes, although in general I usually only use these small square ones, but the larger ones, they are quite big for the A5 folder, but at the moment I've got one here. Now that stays put, and it does get in the way too much, and then when I need to use that I just peel them off and so on. Now I find that having the sticky side here means that it's not up the top, but I can work around that quite easily. So that's my day with the organizer, and then as you can see next week I haven't quite got into that because it's only the beginning of this week, so I've still got quite a lot of planning to do. At the very back of my folder I've got some more of these tabs which I have printed up, and this is one that I'm quite pleased with because I came up with this myself. I get many receipts during the week, and usually instead of stuffing them in my pocket or putting them in a box and not using them, I've actually now worked out a system using just an ordinary office size envelope, and I've created a template, and I might just open it and show you, that I have printed off Word, and as you can see here, and I printed this off my printer, and I've just fed it into the printer, and the printer has actually printed this up on both sides in case I run out of room. But the beauty of this is that if I get a receipt, I can note down the information. I've got some codes there, and then I place the receipt in the back. Now then at the end of the month I just then take this envelope, place it in with my tax folders, and I've got it all almost collated ready for tax. So I find this was really helpful for me over the last few years, and at the moment I've got about 4 or 5 months worth of receipts here. I won't put that in, I'll leave it out. And as you can see I've still got a few to go here. These are new ones and so on. Now at the very end of the diary I've also got just an area for notes and also for planning, and in case I've got any ideas I just jot them down here. Again, as you can see I use diagrams quite a lot and just getting my thoughts together. And then at the very end I've also got just a couple of notes that I've taken at other places, and then I'll eventually get to that. So this is what I would call my filing area. Well, when I'm organizing my times well, I'll come back to this and I might read through it and then transfer some information across. These are long-term goals, or these are long-term projects which I'm doing. And then at the very end, I have just an ordinary hole punched notepad with printed lines. And then the pen that I use is just an ordinary black ink pen. I used to use the felt or texture pen, but I did find they used to bleed in, and the expensive ones were really not worth the money and wouldn't last too long. So I just place that in there, and it all is contained quite snugly, and this is the way I organise my life. So from a man's point of view, I need to be organised. I need to have everything labelled quite well, and I find the Filofax is the best way for me to get my job done, my life ordered, and help me to get the things I need to do done much quickly. So I hope that's been a little bit of help for you to see a little glimpse of my life and how I order it using a Filofax. So stay tuned. I will have other videos that I will post up about various parts of the Filofax and go into more detail. But that's an overview of the whole thing, and thanks for watching.